particularly from the top, the pastors, down to just congregation members, who are on mending meals, or just calling to, see how things are going, or that, knew my parents and, knew me growing up and just wanted to know if we were settling in, But from the first call, I guess it really, really started showing what kind of church we are. I was able to call you and pull you out of a meeting, I think, or, the very first call, and you dropped it and came straight to the phone, which many people might say, well, that's what a pastor is supposed to do. But, there's more than one of you, and you could have said, well, I'm in a meeting, maybe Pastor Eric could take this phone call, but, you did, and that meant a lot, And then the second time I had to make a call, you drove right out, probably dropping the same kind of important things to be with a member. And, and again, that meant an unbelievable amount, especially at that time. But, even from there, mending meals, they brought meals out so we didn't have to cook. And more importantly, they still brought meals out, and, even if they just stayed 5 minutes to chit chat, my family had already gone. It was just, Daniel and I there. And so it was nice having some kind of interaction to get you, thinking at something else other than just, what would be most heavy on your mind. Even Jason came out, which again, the choir is almost like a family within the family, and they sent some things out and came out and visited. And Jason came out a couple of times just to have coffee, just to check and make sure everything was going okay, and just to provide a little bit of company. I have an aunt, and I have an uncle, and I've got cousins, but I don't see them weekly, and so for me, this, church has really become my caring family. That's what's nice about our church too. We have the church family as the whole, but then we have, the prayer pods. I mean, where would we be without prayer? And it's nice to know that, when we get those weekly notices, that we can do something about it. I mean, whether it's literally notifying us something is amiss in someone else's family, and we can put out that effort to say, are you okay? Do you need anything? But just to know that the prayer pod group in general, knows about it. And, as they always say, prayer is a powerful thing, and sometimes it takes, something really bad to make you really realize it and understand. And it doesn't even have to be for something dramatic, but just in the thought that, people are thinking about you. I think that's one of the most important things our care ministries can do. It's just keep you from being alone and returning to the Lord by the use of your time, by the use of your cooking skills. I mean, there's so many different things, and all of these, and as the recipient too, I mean, I really feel like it makes you closer to God, because you realize that, God is the one instilling these thoughts and desires in the people that are helping you. And so it's on both sides. I mean, God is giving them the impetus to do what's best to help you. You're realizing that God is giving them, the impetus, but you're also becoming a little bit closer because you see that it's, it's again, to quote another Baptist thing, it's a God thing.
We wouldn't be able to do our job without the parishioners who make up the body of Christ here. We are often the ones who are coordinate these prayers and this outreach to visit parishioners, but it's the one-on-one, face-to-face from parishioner to parishioner that really makes the difference. At times of crisis, the pastors show up. We're there to help, and hopefully we're there at other times as well when it's not just bad news. But because of all of that we have happening in St. Matthew's, it's really the parishioners face-to-face who do the work. Baptismal sponsorship, a new parishioner sponsorship, that's a form of pastoral care. stewardship, we don't often think of stewardship as care, but it is. It's the care of the resources that God has given us and how we return to the Lord, how we give back those resources. That's part of this as well. Our Stephen ministry, which is one-on-one Christian caregiving that we give, that we offer. Eucharistic ministry is so important. I still think it's so powerful that 2 weeks ago, Marcia Dimitri was Carl Ulmer's Eucharistic minister. She was by his bedside for his last breath. That is, so Eucharistic ministry suddenly became not just sharing the sacrament after worship, which is in itself very important, but being there in that incredibly important moment. Care mail that we do, that we send to our parishioners, our homebound parishioners, who often don't get connections any other way from the church, or maybe even other visitors. Our prayer shawl ministry is another important way that our parishioners literally hand make items that people wrap around themselves when they're in crisis. Maybe in good moments too, but really in those moments of crisis. The mending mills that really emerged from the pandemic, led by Marion Adisher, has been so important to connect our congregation. And then we go to the prayer pods. The prayer pod ministry is, I think, so important to our congregation because it transforms us. And well, first of all, it signifies us as just not another organization. We're an organization centered around prayer. But it can transform us to be a more closely knit community. We often think that we're just helping others, but that's one of the best parts of our care ministry. The transformative part about care ministry is what it can do for the person who's offering care to another person.